it's been a couple weeks, months
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe a couple months. I don't know, but we're back on
Yeah.
track.
You were just saying it's the season for craziness. It's December 2025 right now, and musicians are probably not sleeping much. How's your schedule going?
It's okay. Now, this week is okay. I've just had double parade Christmas parades every day. Royal Hawaiian Band. So we march like do parades all over the island. So and then next week it starts Nutcracker.
Well,
Yeah.
mine was, since I just relocated this year, it took me a minute to get some momentum, but I have a couple random Christmas things here and there, which is like super happy, and then
That's
my
good.
students. But that's a good segue into today's topic, which is learning how to
Students.
set your rates as a freelancer. Do you have some thoughts to start us out with?
I just know that I have changed my rates a bunch of times, and it was always looking back too low. It's always on the low side because I always feel bad, which I think
Yeah, this is something we really definitely need to cover. The
I think
big,
it's
big
very
one.
common with musicians to like not want to charge too much because for one, you feel like you won't get students or enough students. And for two,
Right.
you kind of feel bad, like you're not worth that amount.
Okay, this is so huge. Yes. I just want to jump in and say that I think my turning point for that attitude or that mentality was I went to get a deep tissue massage because I had some issues. I can't even remember what, but this is about 3 or 4 years ago. And the massage therapist had to be about 28, 27. I looked at his criteria. He had a certificate on his wall, and it was literally just a certificate. It wasn't diploma, and he was charging me about 125 for the hour. So this guy who probably, I mean, forgive me, any massage therapists out there, but I don't believe he trained since he was 2 or 3 or 8 to be a massage therapist. I started at 8. And I said to myself, whoa, 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 I am charging way too little. A degreed, seasoned professional. I mean, I wasn't charging, I feel like my rates were kind of average, but average was very low compared to this guy. There has to be some consideration here now for my expertise, my overhead, and just all the things. So I guess the discussion then comes to what is everybody else charging? Do I go with that rate or do I go higher according to what I think I should earn?
Recently, moving to Hawaii, well, it's a weird state in that there's an extreme gap. There's the ultra wealthy and then very, very poor. There's not a whole lot in
Oh,
between. And so when I asked around about when I was going to start to get students, I asked around what going rates are. And apparently I found out it's different for the woodwind brass, and I guess percussion
okay.
and strings. So like it was pointed out to me and I found this to be true. The strings students, it's like white collar. It's a lot of wealthy Japanese in particular. So they can easily charge string players charge $100 plus for lessons. But winds and brass is like a blue collar situation and you are not
Really
going,
interesting.
yeah, it's weird. And it turns out to be true. And I'm like, I'm just going to charge $100. Well, no, that didn't work out. But I do charge more than anybody else. And I have like a lot more, probably double. I am 80 right now. And I raised that from like my standard for years and years was 50 for an hour and 25 for a half an hour. I just decided, well, from like your experience, I decided to raise my rates because of reflecting and like I am worth more than that. I have a master's degree and a couple experiences. For one was looking up tennis lessons, private tennis lessons for my dog.
That's funny. I looked up golf lessons today,
Really? It's crazy how much they charge. And you have to
right?
buy a whole package, or at least that's how it was here. So we had
Hmm.
to buy like $1,500 worth of tennis lessons, which were like a little over $100 a lesson. And that was like a discount. And we did it, and that was like the cheapest thing we could find. And it was just some kid, some 25-year-old girl who just happened to be in Hawaii, just very transient person.
Hmm.
Maybe she was a great teacher, who knows, whatever. Another experience I had was looking for a personal trainer. I have some injuries and whatnot, so I'm looking for a personal trainer. And I'm with someone now who it's over 100 an hour or a session. It's like 50 minutes. And this guy that I'm a personal trainer with, or that is my personal trainer, and he's supposed to be kind of like this expert to help somebody like myself who has spinal stenosis and an injury and I need
Yeah.
very specific care. I can't just anyway, he's 21-year-old communication major at University of Hawaii here. Like he's just
Yeah.
a kid. but I am paying this and people pay it. They'll pay it for that.
Mhm, mhm,
But
mhm.
they just, anywhere I've lived, it seems really hard pressed to get people to understand the value of private lessons, and they just won't pay for it, or it's very difficult. So we have to kind of like compromise, like, yes, I'm worth this much, but I mean, if you want students, you're going to have to compromise, I think, unless you're,
Yeah, there is some give and take. I agree. But I feel like the precedent setting of people charging too low, it hurts the people who are like you and me, like
yeah.
decades of experience. I still have a huge overhead with, my I'm still paying the instrument down, everything. So where is the middle ground and how do you actually get the money that you think you deserve? I think, let's say you do charge a lot more than everybody else. I believe you can make that work. And I believe that takes a lot of extra time with marketing,
Yeah.
and in that marketing showing what the student's going to get, or create a package of for me, I do, if you pay for 4 lessons in advance you get a discount. Musicians and private teachers in the music world, they back down a little too easily.
Well, I think also because we're not business people and we weren't taught anything on how to run a business. So
Mhm.
you're talking like a business strategy, like having a
Right.
discount if you sign up for four. Well, you're going to have to like write up a contract. You're going to need something that's like if you or like a website that says where you can purchase this, or
Mhm.
it needs to be a little bit more formal, it seems, in my opinion, for that to work. Otherwise, you can just tell somebody, informally in person, like, oh, or on the phone, like, oh, if you buy four, you get a discount. I just feel like I don't know, I've never done that, but it just seems like if you're going that route, which would be effective, but then you're like the tennis lesson and the personal trainers and golf and all that, where you're looking up on a website probably, right? And you're like choosing packages, and then the discount
Mhm.
is configured in, and you see the minus whatever discount and you get the rate, and there's a
Mhm.
payment
Mhm.
option right there. Like as a teacher for 35 years, I have never done it that way. I've just like said what
Yeah.
I charged and hope they pay.
Yeah, I mean, freelance musicians would do well to take a little bit of business,
Yeah.
because you are your business. You are your own CPA, you are your own HR, you are your own, you are your marketing team. And I really feel like, and this is kind of what I've come to in my own business, if I am going to survive as a musician, I have to make that kind of thing happen. Like you were saying, put it on the website or do this or do that. I cave. I'm not going to lie. I cave to some people who can't afford it. I wish I didn't. I negotiate prices sometimes with people who are really struggling. I will negotiate, but I don't believe that I should. I wish I had the courage to just turn people away who couldn't afford my lessons. But we also have to eat. I had a colleague say, I don't want to charge that much because it's such a hard time right now for everybody with groceries. And I'm like, you have to buy groceries too, though.
You're right.
You know, I mean, we're not martyrs. We are business people. We have to pay our
Yeah.
bills.
The other thing, I don't know if this is the same for strings, but anymore today, people just don't take lessons as a general rule. So when you join band, like you started the clarinet and you join band, I would say 95% of these kids are not going to be taking private lessons as just like how they're going to go about being in band. They might like after the fact, after a couple years in band and they want to get the first chair, then they'll seek out a teacher to get a couple lessons, to like or
Mhm.
to get a couple lessons to, in fact, I just had this, get a couple lessons in to tutor them on their band music for some big audition, select band or honors band or something like that. You get them in a lesson and it's like, well, you don't even know how to finger your notes. You don't know how to do all these. I don't know what we can do in 2 lessons, but that's kind of how people, it's just like a little tutoring here and there.
Mhm.
And I also noticed this on big forums, online forums. Like there's a popular flute one, and people are on there just asking, how do I finger this, like tremolo or trill? And then some people get in there, like the older people, like, you need to have a teacher. But then other people get on there
Yeah.
and like, don't be mean, and I've really picked up on I know. And I've just picked up on the thing that people just don't seek out a regular teacher when they
Yeah.
start. So
Yeah.
they'll just go on their own or look up like maybe online, I don't know.
I have the similar problem. For me, a lot of the students are in their orchestras. They haven't had private lessons, and their technique is a mess, and they play by ear
Yeah.
because they get thrown into this cello section and they scramble to do the best they can. And then they take lessons and it's hard all of a sudden, and they're 12 or 13 and it's really a lot later than they ought to have started. So that is a big part of the problem as far as setting your rates, because once someone comes to me, and asks for, lessons, I'm sorry, I have bad news. I feel like that internally, like, actually, this is not just going to be $25. I'm sorry. But I mean, I also said before we got on this call, this is solely a discussion, in my opinion. Like, I think there's so many factors involved. There's your geographical location, like you were saying, where you are. There's such a disparity between the two classes. There is cost of living in that area. There's just a lot of factors to take into account. But then sometimes I think, well, there's too many factors, so I'm just going to set my price. There is also the case of weddings for us and setting your rates as wedding musicians. That's another topic for string players because we play so many of them.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of variances in each city I've lived in what people will charge. So again, sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to charge my rate, and I'm going to show my client before they even click on my name online what I have to offer them. And if I'm going to be charging $100 more than the next guy, they should be receiving $100 more quality and attention and service from me. So I'm not just saying, charge more and run away with the cash in your pocket. You have to produce.
Yeah, you have to produce. And like for the weddings, like you're actually physically there at the wedding, and or you have demos online that they can check out.
Yeah.
Like for the lessons, I know, and I did this when I had a ton of students. You have to put on, or you should put on a recital, something,
Oh, yeah,
so
I see where you're going with that. Like, yeah, like you can't, how do you prove that you're worth it as a private teacher? You have to have some stuff online. That's really, really smart. I don't do that enough, in fact. So what do you do? What you were saying about do you stream things, or do you have some of your studio stuff online?
no, like I used to, when I taught more, I would do a studio recital. I did that only maybe two, three, four times, like a handful of times that I can remember. So I didn't do it very often over the course of like 35 years. So, but that's like parents love that. Then they, but then you have to organize getting them an accompanist. And then you have to tell the parents they have to pay for the accompanist. And like, that's a whole thing. I mean, now I feel like I'm an excellent teacher. I know what I'm doing. I can get them through like I know exactly what they need to get through. They need to be able to do X, Y, and Z. They need to double tongue. Yet certainly
Hmm.
you have to learn vibrato, you have to
Right.
how to teach those things. But there's no way really to prove that. I mean, unless I think parents, they need to see, because what do they know? They don't know. I had an inquiry for lessons from a mom that said her daughter, they just moved to town and she's in whatever grade and blah, blah, blah. And do you teach flute? Or I got your name off of the Flute Society teacher roster. And then I responded back like, yes, I teach. I'd be happy to work with your
Hmm.
daughter, and gave her my rate and where I teach and whatever. And she's like, do you have much experience with flute? I just,
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God. Well, for one, my bio is on the page that she got my
All
information.
right.
I'm in the symphony here. I play
Yeah.
professionally. Like, but I don't think they know what that means, so they don't know. They have no idea. But if there's like a fancy slick website and there's something to click that says buy, and like they'll do that. Because I know I did that, like trying to find tennis lessons.
I mean, I have a fancy slick website, but I don't have a button like that. I should do that.
But that's good you have a website. That's more than or a lot of musicians have.
Yeah, I mean, I really dumped a bunch of money into that, and sometimes I wonder, is social media better or a website? I suppose it's nice to have a website, but I think being like with your reels and stuff that you have, I think that's really a lot of great exposure, more probably than my website.
Yeah, that's only good. The reels and social media stuff, I think, is only reaching other musicians or like community orchestra people or things like that. I don't think those are really reaching parents
Hmm.
that are going to buy
Okay.
for their kids, or high school kids that are looking for a teacher or anything like that. But the website is, I think that's a good idea, or at least setting your rate. I mean, when I first moved to Hawaii, I did ask around on social media Like, what's everyone's going rate? Oh, you know what? I asked indirectly because I made some post about how incredibly expensive tennis lessons are. And I said, I made some joke like, music teachers, we are in the wrong profession. And then I said something about how much I
Yeah.
charge. And it started this whole conversation about how much everyone
Wow.
charged. I know when I've just typed in just to see like flute teachers in my area or
Yeah.
trumpet. Oh, because my daughter did trumpet for a while and trumpet, although I knew who to contact directly. But you get like music stores where they teach all the
Mhm.
instruments, and it's
Right.
awful. It's garbage and they'll charge a lot of money. And I know the teachers are getting like 25% of that rate or something terrible like that.
That's true.
So for a parent, that seems like a good thing. You go to the music store and you get a private lesson with a teacher
Mhm.
that's there. That's actually a good way to start teaching. If you just want students, go to a music store and see if they're willing to take on you as a teacher. You're not going to make very much money, but you get some
Correct.
experience. But I wouldn't stay there because it's just not the quality teachers don't stay at those music stores.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't pay. It
Right.
just does not. It pays about a fourth of what you are supposed to earn.
Right. And then the kids are paying all the rest of that 3/4 rest,
Right,
you
right.
know.
You don't see that. Yep,
Um,
that's true.
a husband taught for a while. He's a drum teacher at this music store here in Hawaii. And it's something like $85 an hour that they charge the kids, but the teachers make 25 an hour. So it's like less than
Yeah.
like it's what the and of course like he was there for a little while and then just eventually started his own studio, but you just have like crappy teachers, people that don't know what they're doing, or people that teach all the instruments, like all the woodwinds, or like, oh geez.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good discussion. I know this is something that, again, I wasn't taught in music school. I had to learn the hard way. I had to just go out and do it. I'm still learning. I'm still Googling everything that I have questions about. So, but I'm making it happen.
Yeah, it's a good topic, never ending. Sounds good, and we'll talk about something equally as exciting next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone is liking and sharing, feel free to leave comments or questions about topic ideas for our next discussion. We'd love to hear from people who are listening.
Yeah, sounds good.